Okay.
Bye.
Morning, all. Welcome to our weekly local area discovery session. This is session number 29, and today's date is September 19th. We're going to go over a quick, brief update on project status, and then we'll get into what everybody's excited about, which is week 2 of UAT. So I'll pass it over to Al, and he'll give us those updates.
Thanks, Taylor. So we are ending sprint 15, development sprint 15 today. Sprint 16 will start tomorrow. Our development currently is we're adding to customer intake, we're adding to service collections. We've got the ETPL pre-screening pages. Those shelled out, and then the next part of that will be the routing piece of that. We did a lot of work in data migration. Probably wondering why now, but we want to make sure we get those assets built early so that we can just reuse them along the way, bring in test data, those kinds of things. We're continuing discovery work. That's the requirements and all that. Obviously, you haven't seen a lot of that lately, but we're trying to get that through the state, get their okay for those things, and then bring it on and show you guys. We have customer intake pieces. We have applications, a lot of work being done there, expand the case management functionality with the universal career plan, assessments and case notes. Then we have measured skills gains work going on in the entity management. We're working on the training program definition and those pages. And then always federal reporting will probably be going on throughout. So that's an update on all the activities that are going on in both development and requirement work.
Perfect. Thanks, Al. And you're the only one on today's docket for the working session for UAT, so I'll pass that over to you.
All right, let me share first. Let me share my other screen here, and we will start looking at what folks looked at. Thanks for everyone that has been participating in this. Okay. So this is just, this was our first, just to remind everybody that was in this last week, and maybe you weren't and you didn't see it, but this was our guide, user acceptance test guide, release 1, cycle 1, and just to let everybody, and it has all the information on what the expectations are, the homework areas for this week. I just wanted to highlight those before I went over to the OneNote. Some of you used the OneNote very well. Thank you very much. Still looking through that this morning. But anyway, one was accessing the environment, obviously accessing not just our UAT environment, but accessing this OneNote, making sure you could get into the UAT URL, those kinds of things, and understanding where the guide was, and making sure everybody had access to that. That was one of our big things to start out with. We still may have some of that bleed over for those that weren't able to get into cycle 1. We're focused on entity management. Not everybody does a lot of entity management, but our focus is on those parts. We did the entity list view, add entity, and then entity details view. We just cut it off right there, just a small, and we have quite a bit more this week. We wanted your feedback by September 17th, Tuesday at noon. It's okay if it's bleeding over, but we definitely want feedback from all of you folks. Okay. Here for those parts is, I rearranged this a little bit, put the reporting example at the bottom. No big deal. Some people put their stuff in the reporting example. I moved those. If you wonder where they went to the cycle 1 managed entity, I moved them over here. And so we're going to go through this briefly. Some of these I don't have answers for yet. Some of them I do. This person said good news, or said they did okay, Christy. Thank you. This person here, also Chuck, got in there and did some work. That's great. And here's some things on this. Okay, so the drop down menu, entity type. Entity type, when you add a new entity, the suggestion was other should be an option. I'll move that over and discuss that with the state. Also may want to distinguish public, private, university, college as 4-year institutions in order to distinguish it from community college. or proprietary skill options. So any of you just didn't know, when you do an add entity, there's a drop down of what entity type, and those are the options that we're talking about. I'll take that to the state and see what we can do with that. On the entity list page under manage entities, would it be possible to add a column with the FEIN listed with the entity? Okay, let me explain that a little bit. Let me get a browser page over here for you guys. Let me get into UAT. All right. I'll get this shrunk down so I can get it onto this page. Hold on 1 second. Bear with me. I should have had that already for you. All right. Let's bring this in. Everybody sees that, I hope. By the way, we did get the UAT environment tag fixed for you. This right here, you don't have to worry about. You probably saw that in the reading in the guide. We're in entity management. And the question was FEIN column. So we can add FEIN as a default, but it is here. Okay, so when you go over here, and this probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you, but it says identification. That's because an entity can have could be an FEIN or it could be an SSN. Okay. Hoping that not too many are SSN. Obviously, the ones everybody put in here are FEINs, which is really nice. I guess that's all of them. And that's the column you're looking for, is identification. Okay. It's the ID or whatever is, and the reason it doesn't say FEIN, it could say FEIN slash SSN, but if you all think that should be one of our, we definitely could swap this out, because I don't think anybody really too much cares about business sense, especially when you only set that for employers. And then you just take that out like that. You can also have entity type in there, for example. So, and then if you, I believe we do it this way, we have identification, and then if we add entity type, nope, it still does it that way. Okay. So anyway, that's where that is whose question was that? I want to make sure that was probably Chuck, right? Is Chuck on?
Yeah, that was my question, Al.
Was that work okay for you? I mean, we can make that default if everybody wants to come up automatically.
I think it makes sense, but I think what confused me is when you go to that drop down, the hamburger icon, and you see identification. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, my fault.
And that's what, like, I see some comments here from Cindy and Crystal that say, if you could put like FEIN slash SSN on there, we'd know exactly what that meant. Versus identification is just kind of a, I don't know what that means term. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Something like this. And also put on default columns. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay, so let me put this in here on 919, and that way I'll remember to go out, and that seems very reasonable.
Yeah, or even a compromise like identification and then colon, or like you have the arrow or parentheses FE, but yeah, somewhere include the FEIN slash SS.
Yeah, might as well just be FEIN slash SSN. We could have other things I know in the system. Okay, so here's where we went with this. So we might have to look at this a little bit closer, or maybe we might have to have a little more space or something. But anyway, we also have things like Dun and Bradstreet numbers and stuff like that might be additional options in the future. Instead of the FEIN or SSN as an identification. So we built this so that we could have various identifications. You probably saw that when you added, you had a drop down, and you're probably like, well, there's only two here, SSN and FEIN. Here, I'll go here. So right here, right, this right now is only these two, but we're thinking possibly we might want a DNB number in here to connect over to, I don't know, EBS or something. But anyway, that's why we have this. By the way, just to tell you, and it probably came up too, there's a ticket out right now to change the default to FEIN, so you don't have to change that when you come into here, and that format will be the FEIN format. So, because I think in this entity management, probably 95% of them are going to be FEIN. Okay. Yeah, this accrediting body and dates on the on entity. Let me kind of tease that out in discovery with the state. They did push that down a little farther. I think it only applies to those with training programs, I believe, if I remember right. So I think they're pushing that down a little bit to training programs or something. But I'll follow up on this. Just you'll get some feedback on this. Okay. I saw that was good. Okay, this right here is I just put a comment in here about 5 seconds ago. The reason why this question was a really good question. It's like, hey, I put in car expecting to get Carl Sandburg College, and I ended up getting the Mantra Con also why. Okay, well, so this little name search actually searches a lot of different fields. Okay, so if we put in car here and search, it just so happens that the city Carbondale is in that. So this search here will search the name of the entity. It'll search the name of any locations that you have, and it'll search the address, every field of the address. Okay. And the reason we're doing that is because that gives you a lot of flexibility. You could search for a zip code, you could search for, and one new thing that's coming on in the next sprint is that'll come out in UAT in a little while is you can put an FEIN number right there. You'll be able to, or even a partial FEIN number, and it'll bring up, it'll filter by that. Okay. So I just want you to know that you probably didn't notice that car. I don't know who that was. Let me see who that was. Crystal, if you're on. Is Crystal on?
Yeah, I'm here. I figured
Yeah.
that was probably the reason, but I just not used to having it search other than the entity name.
Yeah, it searches a lot of different things. We didn't put like a bunch of fields here. Or, we could have divide this out, said, address, searching the address field, or searching FEIN field, just because we might be getting a lot of scrolling to get to the filtering capability. But that's how it's done right now. Okay. Yeah, I just noticed that myself. Reset or even a search button at the bottom. So you notice you're scrolling, right? Feels a little awkward to have to scroll to get to that. Yeah, let me I owe you something on that one. But we'll look into that a little bit.
Because you wanted us to put like anything we noticed, right?
You bet. This is great stuff. No, I just didn't get to this. I got to some of them, but I didn't get to these. Okay. Okay, duplicate entry checkbox. I tab to the state field, typed I for Illinois. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. Okay. Very good observation. Okay.
Yeah, this was super weird. I didn't know what was going on with that.
This drop down is acting a little strange. It's the same drop down everywhere. But let me just go to this part here. It actually can do it right here. So if you tab in here, you probably tabbed in here, maybe not here, but maybe over in the add entity, right? And then you might have hit IL. I don't know if you did that. I hit IL just then, and that's what happened. Okay. And if I tab, it's selected. Okay. I know it's kind of strange though, because if you, let me go see what you did, because I've done this before.
I just put
You
in.
hit I. Okay, you're
Yeah,
right. You hit
I
I.
just put
And
I, yeah.
yeah. And so let me cancel this, get back in a clean one. So if you just hit I, it
Yeah.
looks like in this scenario, it
It
did
doesn't
not
do
take it. And
that.
you took, it's the first I, unfortunately, which is probably what, Idaho. If I tabbed, I would have Idaho. And unfortunately, when you just do one letter, it does not show it to you. And so we'll work on this. I
Then,
feel it's a little clumsy myself. It does not work like most
right.
drop
But then
downs.
what was weird though is that I had the notebook open in another tab at the same time that I was doing this, and then I had IWDS open on a different computer, right?
Yes.
For comparing stuff. And I had it up there and I hit the I and it just, showed me Alabama or whatever. And then I went to the notebook to record something. I came back to the tab and it had filtered down to the eyes.
Yeah, it's not,
And I'm like, what the heck? Why? I didn't know whether it was just the function of going out of it to a different tab and coming back. And I didn't know what was going on there.
yeah,
That was weird.
it's very weird. It's not reacting like I think it should either. We'll work on that and see what we can do. So I do understand that. We'll give that a look.
Well, yeah, because I think the other thing is that I'm used to IWDS. Like if you hit I know to hit I know to hit I twice to get to the Illinois. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah, you can hit, yeah, oh,
yeah.
I didn't know about that, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Because the
Well,
first letter takes you to that spot and then you just hit it however.
and yours might be working a little bit even different. Mine, I'm on a Mac right now instead of a Windows
Okay.
machine, and yours may even work a little bit different than mine on these drop downs. So I'll have to get the Windows machine out and start messing with this a little bit. But I got used to it, but I agree with you. It is not standard. It does not
Right.
seem to be standard.
Right.
Okay. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that. And we have that same thing in county. You probably saw that in county.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
So it's every drop down. So, so I got used to just going, IL, and it went right to it, just type IL. And then I was, that's what I got used to, but I don't want to force everybody to get used to something that's not standard. Okay. Very good observation. And then, when I knew ahead of time that my entry would not be there, instead of giving the result, none found or no match, whatever the system gives the existing full list of entities. What did you put in did you put anything in there?
Yeah, because I was searching. Well, okay, so when you first go in to add an entity, right? So duplicate entity.
Yep.
Okay, this is before I tested anything. And I knew that what I was going to attempt to add as an entity would not be in there.
Yep.
So I tried to search for it because that's what you would do, right? Search to make sure that's
So
not there.
say it was, going to be
Yeah, so just pick something that you know is not
X.
in
We
there.
know there's probably not an XYZ, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And then you search for it. This is what I get.
I didn't get that. I got the whole list. And there
So
was no
I'm wondering if you just had a space in there. There it is.
yeah.
That's the issue, the space. So we got to make sure we trim that out. Because if you don't have anything, it should give you nothing.
Well, because when I typed in, this is before I entered Carl Sandburg College.
Yeah.
I typed in Carl Sandburg College and I
Right.
hit search for existing entity and it didn't say no entities found. It just gave me the whole list. And I was like, how come there's not, I feel like there's something missing. Like it should tell me no.
Yeah. I need to look through that a little bit. To see, and obviously now it's there, but I'll look at that.
And I tried it every time because I entered 3 providers. So each time it acted the same. So
Okay, good. No, I'll look into that a little bit. It's for some reason not happening to me, but I totally believe you. I just,
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Christy. You know what? Now that you're saying this, the same thing happened to me too. When I did the same thing. I searched, it gave me the whole list.
okay, awesome. I mean, not awesome,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? I'm not crazy. That's what I'm saying.
Right. No, because I was like, oh, maybe I did something wrong. And then I was like, well, because my providers weren't in there either. But when I
Yeah.
searched, it brought the whole list.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I felt like it wasn't telling me, hey, you didn't get a result. It was telling me that everybody was in there. And then I had to scroll to the bottom to then be able to.
Yeah, and you had to go to the pages and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should
didn't
not do
say
that to you.
none, nobody was, no selection matched or it just.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole
I'll
thing
take a
changed.
look at that, try to reproduce that. Because that should not act like that. Very good. You might put some stuff here. Okay. I should have checked this yesterday, I guess. Oh, this is the same. Is this the same as we just had? Oh yeah, that's the same. Phone number. Okay, you accidentally used the phone number tab instead of taking me to the next piece. That I think it takes a couple tabs. Let me look. I shouldn't. Okay, let me just do slide.
Yeah,
through
I
here.
was going through each item, trying to record it where you wanted it recorded, I thought. I didn't know. So if
Yeah.
it happened to me in a different place, I put it on that page in the notebook.
Okay.
So I guess in that situation, I'm used to if you put something in IWDS when you're typing in, like, for example, the phone number, you tab over to get where you need to go. And when I tabbed accidentally, it took me out of the whole phone number and went to the next field. And I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute." So then I went back and yeah. I mean, if that's how it's going to operate, that's fine.
No, let me see what you're saying here. Okay, so now we're down here at this. So CD main. Okay. All right. That is trying to get to this. I have no idea what that is either. Okay. So I'm tabbed here right now. I just
Yeah.
tapped to it. This
So
is
just put
this
it-
is something we're working on too, is when you first tab to it like this, it shouldn't already tell you that it's required because it's like it's telling you that you missed it, but we didn't
Right.
miss it yet because we're just tabbed to it, right? So that is something we are working on. This initial focus thing. This is when I say focus, I mean we got focus here right now,
Yeah.
but it looks like we do, but looks like focus is here. So if I start typing right here 312, I'm still there, right?
Yeah.
That's what you felt like you were over here because it was red, but it took another tab. So I
So
see.
then yeah.
So I did. So I did. So I don't want to. Hold on a minute. I don't want to use my mouse. Okay. So if I just hit PI tabbed, it looks like I'm there, but I'm not. Tab again. You see the cursor,
Uh-huh.
and
So
there.
yeah. So now, here's the thing. I typed in the area code,
Yeah.
didn't realize it was going like it was at the end. My cursor was at the end of the two, right? I hit the tab and it took me to the fax. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what happened?
Yeah. You don't have to tab in this field. You can just type.
Yeah.
1, 2.
It's like if you
3,
learn
4,
that, that's
5,
one
6,
thing.
7.
But if you're not used to
And
it.
even here, you're right. And even here, that might be a train thing. Even here, you don't have to do anything. You probably just don't even know that. It's just, but you can just tab then out of there. Everything's cool. That's all you have to have. Obviously, you probably figured that out. But yeah, it's trying to be really smart, and maybe it's not doing as simple as it should. Okay.
Well, and when I accidentally tabbed out of it,
Yeah.
it also erased what I had entered.
If you like, I know what you're saying. If you just did like part of it,
Yeah.
2, 1 tab, it's gone.
Yeah. Then it's gone. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
It looks like somebody has their hand up. I can see a hand up, but not who.
Who's that?
Roy, is that you? Oh, hand went down.
Yeah, that was just me. I didn't know. And it, may not mean anything or make any difference. When I was just kind of playing with it, and the to go to add entity and then duplicate entity check, I typed in the full word, Illinois, and and then search for existing entity. And it did provide just for that did have, because I entered when I was playing around with it, I entered a provider of our that we used to own Illinois College of Nursing. It's an LPN school. I had played around and entered that earlier. And that one came up, and then Eastern Illinois, Illinois WorkNet Center, and Southeastern Illinois. So I don't know, maybe you have to type the full word. I'm not sure, but
this was probably no, I guess not. I'm surprised this is not a problem, but we don't search in the state field, so that's why, because we figured most of them are going to be in state.
no, I mean, yeah. So for the name, I try putting that in, and then if I put in the name, if I put DuPage, it did well. I guess that's probably a bad example because you only took a sampling of like 10 or so from IWDS. So that one did work, but maybe that's it did, and it found College of DuPage when I put in the word DuPage, but that's probably not a good way to test it because there really is probably in the list, in the sample list that you have in the test environment here, you only have one that has DuPage in the name. So
yeah, I don't have much. Yeah.
But as far as the IL and stuff, yeah, I was kind of seeing what they were getting, and then I was like, well, let me just try to type in the whole word.
Yeah. So if you started out IL, right, it's hard to see that that's a capital I and a small L, but I did. It's probably going to give you everything just about because, well, not that many, I guess, but kind of surprised. I guess it only looked in the name. Oh, right. Because in here, when we search, since we have these fields, we're not carrying this search in this name over to the address because we have all those fields in this search here, right? So if you wanted, and I don't know if we have any out of state here. I think I have a Wisconsin one actually. If you wanted to search for a Wisconsin one, you would use the state. So just to tell you the difference in this filter here, behind here on the main, it's just using whatever you put in here and searching several fields. But when you're in this, we gave you more specific criteria that you can search for. And these, I believe, are, I can't remember now if they're and or. Libby, remember if they're and or? I don't remember. I think, let me see here. Let me just try something here. If we do Illinois here and Wisconsin here, they're OR'd together, right? So what it's saying is if the name is Illinois or it's the state, then it'll bring it back. So if it's this or this or this or this or this or this, so it's really a wider net than an and would be, right?
Yeah, that's good.
See what I'm saying? So it's kind of a wider net. So like if you don't know for sure, and you put in, this was a concept, if you kind of think this is the name but you kind of feel like this is the zip or whatever, you put those all in there and you're going to get a net that includes any of those pieces. Okay. Just to let everybody know. Okay.
And I think no, I think you did say this a few minutes ago. Sorry. The last thing I was going to say, was, you said you have a ticket that you guys are going to change, on your screen where it says duplicate entity check to default to the fiend instead of the S.
We are. Yep. We got a ticket in for that. Okay.
Thanks. That was the only other thing I was going to say.
Yep, you're having the same problem here. Yeah, the same problem happens in this drop down. They operate the same. They're very much the same. Oh, this is probably good. This is a very good catch. We just didn't have the right. All right, so all these, I'm gonna come back to you on all these. Make sure I follow up on these. Okay. Okay. I kind of UAT environment. Yeah. Okay. My fault. You probably didn't know this, Rory, because it didn't say UAT yet, but it does now. Right here. It said dev still. I think that's probably what you're saying. And this guide I had for you, in the picture, it showed UAT. So I think that was, if Rory's on, I think that was the confusing part probably.
Yes, and yeah, I was writing that kind of as I was trying to play catch up. I was out of town for the end of last week and the beginning of this week, so I was trying to catch up, and um Sarah sent me the links and to play around, to get into the site and
Great.
everything and the guide. And I was trying to catch up. So I was actually kind of listening to the recording from last week, like as I was kind of going through it. And I like literally I think after I typed that and hit enter and type that into the notes there that you have, I think I heard you like almost literally right after that, I heard you say that I think I heard you say that we're not adding contacts right now. So that's not part of this.
That'll be
Yeah, so
coming. That'll
sorry.
be coming. That'll be coming. Hold on a minute.
I should have warned you to like disregard that
No,
content.
that's okay. I'm looking
The
at this
second one
stuff.
there is that you have that one is I think that one is current, but yeah, the thing about the content,
It's ahead too, but that's okay. We'll look at this here.
yeah, that one I did have
Okay,
a
so
question.
we're not totally tied in yet on a training stuff because we haven't got the training program in there. So just about anything, I mean, that you could actually mark it, but we still have to get the training program development piece in, and then we have to do the whole process of approval. So this will tie to that, but it doesn't right now.
Right, that's what I figured. It's
Yep.
just not
Okay.
right. I just when I was creating an entity to experiment, like you guys said, just creating that entity for that Illinois College of Nursing in there. I didn't see anything. I'm like, oh, was I supposed to? I mean, it does say, the type of uh business type, proprietary school, community college, etc. So I clicked proprietary school, but then I didn't know for business function. I was like, oh wait, was I supposed to be like in IWDS? There was that option is in there in that first entity screen. So I just wanted to make sure if there was something I missed that I should have checked under. Is there like will there be like a business function field? But probably not until you get the training program stuff
Yeah.
screens
Yeah.
and
Let me,
and
yeah,
maps.
that's
Okay.
correct. Yep. Yep. Crystal, let me hit this today because we're going to go through this part, which is you had to get into edit part to do this, the edit location, I believe. Yeah. So I'm going to go over this today and we'll try this and see what this is. And when I get into there, we can deal with that. Okay, so cycle 2, we're going to add locations. We're going to look at the locations detail view, then edit an entity, edit a location. This week, add contacts, contact view, edit contact, and we'll talk about select contacts too. So there's quite a bit here, probably double the amount we had in the first one. We just wanted to get you kind of going on it in the first one. So all of these, if you go to cycle 2, release 1, cycle 2, and there's a new, if hopefully you all got access to that folder. There's a new, but we'll get the links out anyway. There's a new guide here for cycle 2. It also explains these key areas. We also copied in the information on reporting and all that and feedback. So we've got all that in here. And then right after that, we start out with the pages, the entity details view. We'll go through that, the edit entity, adding a new location, and then looking at the locations view. And then the last one should be, the locations detail page right there. And then we get into editing, adding in contact, I'm sorry. And then selecting contacts. And then it talks about all these functions and stuff like that in this. So that's going to be today's demo. Before we get into demo, any other questions about, how to use this stuff? You guys really look like you did a great job in finding everything. If anybody still has access problems, put that in a chat here and we can start working on that to make sure you can get to the guide, and the note to capture your. Now I'll come back here and put in more information on those in a little bit today. Okay. All right. So let me look here on our first thing, edit entity. So some of these things you've probably already done. That's okay. I'm going to go into this first one and deal with it first. So if you click that, you get to this entity details view. You've all seen the entity details view from this time. At the top, it's got the, that static information. If it's not an employer, we don't have those, you don't enter those things. Then in the center section, we have two pieces. Like I said before, we have a location section, which is at least one location, right? And then the contacts, and in this scenario, there's at least one contact. This is the entity details view. And if I want to edit this, I hit this edit. Now, this is only editing the entity data, right? So this would allow me to change this data. Here, I can change this data. I'm not going to, but I can change this data, and we'll change just the entity data. I could also add it to string, and then I could save or cancel. I'm just going to cancel. So that's the edit entity. And you're probably wondering, wait a minute, when I added the entity, I had the location, the first location. That's correct. But when you first add an entity, we know there's going to be a main location, but later on, you may have added more locations. So you wouldn't necessarily tie that first location that you added to it. It could be later you change the main location or whatever. So in order to edit location or go to the edit location details, I believe the second piece is what we can add. We'll go to add entity location. So now you can go to here. Some of you probably have already done this, and add another location. I'm going to just put Alpha Works 2 as my name. Make up stuff here. I could have a suite here, as you would probably know. That's the one we got to catch, because I get that it feels like you're there, but you're not there. So, sorry about that. Okay, a tab out of that. I don't have the facts. I don't have that. Okay, now you probably let's talk about this a little bit. Okay. So I don't know if anybody has worked with this yet, but what this basically is the hours of operation. There's probably going to be a few. We didn't have this in IWDS, but we are managing this to essentially merge attributes and get the attributes the same across different platforms. So we're adding some attributes here. One of them is the ability to set the hours that they're open. So there's two ways you can do this. First of all, you set the day here to say, yes, it is open sometime during that day or not. So that's the way you do that. We default it to Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, as you can see. But if you want a 24-hour spot, I don't know what that would be, maybe a disaster or something, or I don't know. Then you just click that and it says it's going to be open 24 hours. If you do not keep that off, that's the 24-hour setting. And then you can go in here and change these hours. If this is 9 to 4, you can change it here. So that's the way this works. Okay. Down here, we can mark if it's a corporate office or not. And then down here, this is kind of important. You probably want to mark that ADA compliant facility. It forces you to mark that there. You can put notes about this facility here that will show up on the details page. And then you get into entity functions. So this is a multi-select, okay? So you can select any of these you have here. So this is, I think, Crystal, was it? I can't remember.
Yep. You're
This is probably what's weird, because you're like, wait a minute, what's this? It's an overlap. So we're going to have to, it's a little bit, I think this is one of your issues. And then
if you put your mouse down below that, you can scroll the underneath part. Or
yeah,
that's
you
what
just
happened in
went
that
out
other
of it. That's you just went to social services you just jumped out. So we got to have a little bit something different here. I agree, because it looks like these are part of it, but they're not. This line here is the end of this drop down list. You can't hardly see it, and there's not enough definition between the two. So it looked like this was part of it, but it's not. Entity functions are only these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 of them. And then you can add and remove. We'll have to get something, I think, that makes this a little more definite so you don't go out of it, because down here these are social services and they don't even, it's probably we might need to make this one a drop down select also to work the same so that there's no overlap there, because this
Right.
you know what I'm saying, that's the problem. I totally get it.
Well,
Or if
and
you're
when
gonna
I
make
was
that
doing it,
search
I mean,
box, expand it, make it bigger
Yeah.
so it covers everything up.
and I don't know
Weird.
whether it works differently like from a Mac to a laptop, but when I was in it, you could, if you got it down too far, you could actually scroll the underneath.
Oh, yeah, I think you can do that here too, because if I
So
go here and I just go down here and don't click it, I can scroll that.
Yeah, exactly. So then
Yeah.
if you got it in the wrong place, you're like, wait a minute, why is my
Very confusing. We'll work on that. Yep. Very good catch. Ah, shoot. Thought I had it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this one, because you're a little bit ahead. It's okay. I'm going to pull it from here and I'm going to put it in here. Okay. All right. Very good. Yep. I see what you're talking about there. Also, we might need this little, how many are selected here, but this does show, I think this shows, actually keeps wrapping, if I remember right. So you actually always see them. Let me go ahead and make it so that, I think. Now we're going to have to do that here too. You see that it only showed 3 of them, but it doesn't show. We'll get these working a little bit better. Good catch. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add that location. That button's going to change to save. It hasn't already, I'm for sure, but because that was a little confusing. It looked like we could go ahead and add another one, but we couldn't. Once you get through adding a location, it comes back to that location, AlphaWorks 2, and its detail page. Okay. This on the left, this is a 2-panel page. This on the left allows you to go directly to that panel spot on the right. Okay. Obviously, if it doesn't have to move, it doesn't move. You got the general information area. We included this in here, and I'm going to show you this at a different spot too. It shows when you get into this page, you're not in edit mode. You would go to edit mode to go back to edit. So this, whenever you get to details, and I'll show you how you can get to that. So that's has this contact section part we can add and select. We're going to do that in a second. We have entity functions that we added here. And then we have any social services we added, training programs, TBD, that's not here yet. Relationships is here yet, is also all here, but we're going to face that in a future cycle, okay? Because there's a lot to that. Okay. So this would be part of it, looking at this, scrolling around here, going to edit, doing your edits on your locations. Now I go back to the entity. You'll see I have 2 locations here with the address and all that. If I just want to go to the details of one of those, I just go to the details by clicking it, and then I can go to the edit. You'll see actually the one I have here actually does have relationships. So if you want to look at some of those ahead of time, if you wanted to view without having to add them, you could go into AlphaWorks and go to the first location and see that. Okay. Contacts, I'm going to add another contact. I'm going to show you, I'm going to add a contact to AlphaWorks Inc., the first one here. So I'm going to go, whoops, I'm sorry. Let me get to the first one I had, this one here. And I'm going to, from the location view, I'm going to add a contact, and I go here to add the contact. So I'm just going to put in my own name just for fun. Now there's a couple things here. Okay. So let me tell you about this. Okay. So if you want, we notice, I mean, we know that there's a lot of the contacts, all their address and contact information is exactly the same as the location. And in IWDS, I believe it actually automatically filled that in. But then if it was different, you would have to go in and edit all that out. Okay, so I believe that's the way it worked. But here, if you want to not use the location address, you go ahead, these fields are open and you type in an address. This all works like in the other address fields. If you want to use the location address, you just click that button and you do not have editing on that because you're either using the location address or you're using a different address. Okay. Now, even though you use a location address, we still have you enter a phone number because it's important to make sure we know if there's a direct line or if there's any kind of line to that primary phone, and then you can add a mobile phone if you need to, or a fax number. Okay. The other thing is this active. When we add a new contact in the future, this is one of the tickets we have out there. This will default to active because we believe that people aren't going to see that and not make it active. And that's kind of important. It could be the primary contact location. Okay, that's that. And then in the future, when we give that ability for contacts to be able to edit their training program and all that, that's going to work similar to the way it does in IWDS. When you click this, that's going to give them the ability to get an account. It's going to be a little different because we're not generating the account and a temporary password automatically. It's going to go through the Okta process. They'll get an email that invites them in. We'll put their information in behind the scenes on this side with their role and all that. And then once they get in and use that same email address you put in here, then as a user ID, then it'll connect it all back up magically, and they'll be able to log in and get to their training program. So that's going to work very similar. That's not working yet, but that's going to work very similar. So that's these three buttons on the bottom. If we use location, the stuff in collision, don't worry about this. This is also a ticket out there. This did select the county. It looks like it didn't, but it's not showing it for you. So anyway, so if I go ahead and add that contact, now we go back to the location and we see two contacts. Okay. Now, if we want to go into the details of that contact, we're in view mode here. Okay. Not a whole lot to it. But when you're in view mode, it shows you what location, when you're on a contact, it shows you what location this contact is associated with. Okay, we'll come back to this in a second. If you want to go over to edit the contact, you just edit. You'll see that. Hopefully that's standard in all your pages where you can edit. If you had that role, this shows two contacts on that first address. Okay, now let me go back. We're back to the entity list. Okay, now we show two contacts within this entity on all the locations. Both of those contacts on this AlphaWorks location, and none of those contacts are on AlphaWorks 2. Okay, just so you can see that. This is the location. We have two locations. They're both on this one here. If I go to here, we notice there are no contacts. I could add a new contact like we just did, or I could select one of these other contacts. So I could select, say, this one, and I can save that. And now that person is on that location also. So we can share that contact over multiple locations. Okay. So if I go back to the entity now, I see this Lisa is on AlphaWorks Lincoln Avenue and AlphaWorks 2. We can sort this way. So you could see it this way. We can also sort this way and show which ones, obviously sort my first name too, and show which ones they're on. You can sort by email address. You can sort by phone. Okay. Any questions on that, on selecting context for multiple locations? All right. Let me check out what else. Okay, add anything. We added location details view, add and edit contacts, selected contacts. Then we looked at the entity functions, the social services. We looked at the view of the relationships. I'm going to go back and look at that with you a little bit more. And we edited the location. So the only thing else I got to show you is the view. You're not going to, if you go to AlphaWorks, you're going to be able to see this. And if we go to this one here, we're going to be able to see, this is the details of the location. Hopefully I didn't go too fast there. And I'm sliding all the way down to, I could have done this way. Okay. All right. So here is a snapshot grid kind of your relationships. Okay. You can see I didn't use any standards, but anyway, on my naming, but this shows us, as long as there is a name, a relationship ID, I'm sorry, relationship ID, we get to the first page of the edit. We're going to get to that in the future. Then it will save it. So in this particular case, I saved one without going any farther. I didn't go to page 2 and page 3 of that wizard. Here, I added one program here, is all I added. But you could add more. Here on this relationship is an example where I picked a bunch of them. Okay. So I just want to show you what this looks like. It's going to show you all the different fund sources. It's going to show you different dates. Now, just to tell you about this, if any of these do not have the same date, okay, we'll look deeper into this in the future, but if any of these do not have the same date, then those will be divided out on separate lines. So we can show you the dates. So if you edited 3 of these and made them one date and the rest of them on another date range, it would be 2 different rows, but it would be the same relationship ID. So you're going to be able to see all of that right here. And then this will be able to, you'll be able to go right in here. And this one here is just viewing it. We didn't select any of this stuff yet, so that's why, but these are all the same dates right here. So if I took this one right here and if I went to edit mode and took this one right here and changed that date, it would appear on a different line. I'm not going to get in this because we're going to do a big demo on this and discuss this for all those of you who have dealt with the relationships and how that works. That's a pretty deep subject, and that's a 3-page wizard that we go into on edit mode. Okay, but I just wanted to show you as part of this particular demo, this right here is how these will show up. Okay, we'll eventually have training programs showing up right here to view those, and then there'll eventually be an ad training program, those kinds of things. So that is your location view page that has these quick links to get you to where we need to go. Remember those things, all those attributes that you're setting are really set on the location, right? So they're not set on the entity itself. All right, any questions? All right, just a summary. We want you to come and jump in here. These are the things we're doing. We're editing those entities that you put in. You can add an entity location, the entity location details view. Obviously, everybody think of entities unless as either providers or employers. I don't know if any of you entered any employers are not in there. And then add edit contacts. You saw that. You saw how to select contacts, so you could select them to go multiple locations. We reuse the address and all that. Then here, locations details, the view for entity functions, social service, and relationships. And then we showed you all about the location edit. So this guide should take you through and show you at least descriptions and screencasts of those things we just went through. Okay, that's all I have today. Anyone else have anything we want to bring up about this UAT or about any other subject right now?
Oh, sorry, I had a call come in for a couple of seconds while
Yes.
you were, I was still kind of listening to you. So will the test environment that we're currently doing the stuff in, do you want us then to, will that be available? Will
Yep.
we have access to start
Same thing.
the contacts now? Do you want us to start kind of playing around with it like we've been doing?
You bet. Just keep playing around with it. We're just kind of, it's all there, the functionality. We're just kind of just talking about certain sections of functionality each time because we want to break this up because there's not a lot of days between there. And so we want your feedback on these sections. This particular guide 2 or release 1 cycle 2 is out there.
Yeah.
It should be available to you all, and you can just go through and say, okay, these are the things. And this note, whoops, I'm sorry. I've already set up sections for us on this note. So add locations, contacts, contact view, just put your stuff in there. Great job, folks, for using that before. But this is so you look at cycle 2 and release 1 cycle 2, and I'll try to keep up with you on this and give you comments. I'm going to come back into to this and probably, I'll put more information on these when I dig into them a little bit more. So, yep. And this here, you'll get, when you come in, you'll get to hear, just ignore this login. Obviously, you can ignore that. It's not locked down right now. And you can just go straight to entity management. And then, yeah, and you can ignore this right now. We'll get to this testing page later, and you just go here, and then everything drives from there for right now. Okay.
Okay. And then we can just play around with adding
Yeah, do
content.
whatever you want there. That's okay. Yep. Just feel free to put whatever you want in there. Go look at one you want to put in there if you want, and build it all out if you want. If you got, data from the production or whatever you want, and just build it out.
Yeah.
I did notice that you can't bookmark this to go back and forth. Like the only way I could get into it was to go through the original email and go that way. Is that normal?
Let me see about that. So you're saying, like, if I wanted to get to this page and not the home menu?
No,
So
like when I said, oh, I have time, I'm gonna go look at this testing environment. Like when I went to go find how to get into it, I had to go back to the original email. I thought I had put it on my bookmarked.
All right.
On
So
my
I'm going to put it
browser.
right here. Let me see here. I'm going to put it right there. Okay. I'm actually in the providers page, not in the home. So I'd like to be interesting to see. Let's get rid of this. Let's go here. Let's go to our new link. And there I am.
Yeah, you got into it, but I'm not an SIU person. I don't know. I got that.
It shouldn't be that. It's not protected. Let me think about that.
I mean, I just know
Can you try that again for us?
Yeah. Let's see. I was just curious.
Yeah, you should be able to go, because we don't have it restricted right now. Now, in the future, when you link that, it may bring up a login screen, right, down the road. But I actually went to that providers. If I was at the home and I had that one in, and then I went back and hit that one, it would take me to home. So you can probably link pretty deep. If I was in details here.
It just worked. So yay.
Good. If I go into there, let me see if that works. I'm curious about this one. If I could link I think it should, though. I'm gonna go all the way to here. Yeah. So you can deep link in this thing too. They've done a really good job of putting the information they need at the URL. All right. Any other questions? Good questions. Good feedback. We'll appreciate it. And that's exactly what we need. Some insight and some thought about it. Some making sure it works right, and not only making sure it works right, that we're not missing any, hey, I added this, it doesn't show up, so why didn't it save it, or stuff like that. Hopefully you won't find that kind of stuff. Hopefully the things you find or usability possibly, and, you know, structure and layout and stuff like that. Hopefully there's nothing going to blow up on you. Okay. Thank you. I think we can stop.
Thanks, guys.